Hey everyone, ready to dive into something a little heavy.
Sounds intriguing.
Today we're going to tackle charity fraud. How it works, the tactics, and how to protect yourself. Because honestly, these scams, they're everywhere, especially after big events like, natural disasters or global pandemics.
Yeah, people's generosity really shines through during those times, but unfortunately, so do the scammers.
Exactly. It's like, did you know after Hurricane Katrina, something like 40% of donations meant for relief?
40%. Wow.
Yeah, they went to fake charities. So we got to arm ourselves with knowledge, right?
Mhm.
Make sure our good intentions actually end up helping people.
Absolutely. And that starts with understanding what charity fraud really is. It's not just, a quick con. We're talking about individuals or whole groups pretending to be legitimate charities, and they're getting pretty good at it.
Yeah, it's like they're playing on our emotions, right? Using our empathy against us.
Precisely. They know we want to help, especially when we see others suffering, and they exploit that.
So instead of just like listing off all the scams out there, let's look at one specific example. These emergency medical fund scams. What makes those so effective?
Well, I think it's the way they tap into that instinct we all have to protect the vulnerable. Like, picture this, a child facing a serious illness, a family struggling to pay for treatment. It just pulls at your heartstrings.
Like you feel compelled to act immediately.
Exactly. And the scammers, they fabricate these stories, sometimes even using stolen pictures or AI-generated profiles. It's crazy how advanced it's getting.
So the stories themselves are often fake, but what about the tactics, to get us to donate? I've heard they use a lot of high-pressure situations, making you feel like you're the only hope.
Oh, absolutely. That sense of urgency is a huge red flag. They'll say things like, "We need your donation right now to save this person's life," or "This offer ends tonight. Don't miss your chance to be a hero." It's all designed to make you react without thinking.
Yeah, it's like they short-circuit our rational thinking, just going straight for the emotional gut punch.
Exactly. So we need to watch out for anyone using fear or guilt to pressure donations.
Okay, so pressure tactics, check. But are there like subtler signs, things that maybe don't scream scam, but should still set off alarm bells?
Definitely. Look out for vague language about where the money is going. If they can't clearly explain how your donation will be used, that's a major red flag.
Ah, so transparency is key.
Absolutely. Legitimate charities are upfront about their work and impact. They'll provide detailed information if you ask.
That's a good point. Researching before donating is a must, but I've also heard that even big, well-known charities can have internal problems. How do we navigate that?
That's where resources like Charity Navigator and the BBBY's Giving Alliance come in. They evaluate charities based on things like financial transparency, accountability, how effective their programs are.
So it's not just about, is this charity real, but are they doing good work in a good way?
Exactly. They look at the whole picture, including how the organization is managed.
So beyond those resources, what are some other questions we should ask when looking at a charity?
A big one is, does their mission actually resonate with you? Your values, your philanthropic goals?
Yeah, like don't just give to whatever's trending on social media.
Exactly. Choose causes that truly align with what you believe in.
Speaking of social media, it feels like that's where a lot of these scams thrive, right? Heartbreaking stories, powerful images, videos.
Unfortunately, yeah. Social media has become a breeding ground for scams. It lets them reach huge audiences, and they exploit the way emotions spread online.
So how do we avoid falling for those, especially when they seem so compelling?
Be very skeptical of anything that pressures you to donate instantly or through weird methods like gift cards or wire transfers.
Those unusual payment methods always feel like a red flag.
They are. Legitimate charities usually accept donations through secure channels, credit cards, online platforms. They're not going to ask for cash in the mail or, Bitcoin.
It's amazing how these scammers prey on our goodwill. But let's shift gears a bit. What about the psychology behind why people fall for this? We've touched on emotions, but are there other factors at play?
Oh, there are a bunch of psychological principles they exploit. One is authority bias. We tend to trust authority figures, right? So they might fake endorsements from celebrities, pretend to be government officials, even doctors sometimes.
So don't just trust a name or title.
Right. Verify, verify, verify. Because they're tapping into our natural trust in certain roles.
Makes sense. What other psychological tricks do they use?
Another one is the scarcity principle. We value things more if we think they're rare or in limited supply. It's like those limited time offers.
Ah, so they're using our fear of missing out, like donate now before it's too late.
Precisely. Then there's the social proof principle. We're more likely to do something if we see others doing it.
So like those inflated donation numbers or fake testimonials, that's all about social proof.
You got it. They're creating the illusion that everyone's donating, so you should too.
It's like we're wired to follow the crowd.
Exactly. And they often combine these tactics, making them even more powerful.
This is really eye-opening. It's like they have a playbook on how our minds work.
It's true. They're experts at manipulation, but the more we understand these tactics, the better we can resist them.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power. We've covered a lot in this first part of our deep dive, from defining charity fraud to uncovering those sneaky psychological tricks. Let's take a quick pause. And when we're back, we'll dive into ways to protect yourself and even explore how technology is being used in this fight. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back. It's good to be talking about protection because, yeah, knowledge is really the best defense against these scams.
Absolutely. We've set the stage, so let's get into those practical steps. We mentioned research, but beyond Charity Navigator and the BBB, any other online tools or resources you'd recommend?
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's this site called GuideStar. It gives you like in-depth reports on nonprofits, their financials, programs, the whole 9 yards. Lots of it's free too.
Okay, GuideStar, good to know. What about when they come to us directly, though? Like emails, social media, that sort of thing?
That's where you got to be a little detective. First off, never ever click on suspicious links or download anything from sources you don't recognize. Always go straight to the organization's official website if you want to donate or learn more.
So even if an email looks legit, logos, all that, still safer to go to the website directly.
Always. Because scammers are getting so good at making fake websites that look real, you know? Better safe than sorry. And if you're ever unsure, just contact the organization directly using their official contact info.
And by that, you mean like the info on their website, not whatever's in that suspicious email or message, right?
Exactly. Got to stay one step ahead.
This is all great for online stuff, but what about like in-person situations? Someone approaches you on the street asking for donations. Any red flags there?
Good question. Always ask for ID and literature about the charity. The Real Deal will be happy to show you that. And watch out if they pressure you to donate right then and there, or if they won't answer basic questions about their work.
It's a gut feeling thing too, right? If something seems off.
Trust your instincts. You're never obligated to donate, no matter how pushy they are. A simple no thanks is enough.
Speaking of pushy, there's this one tactic, the reciprocity principle, we haven't talked about yet. How does that play into these scams?
Oh, this one's sneaky because it plays on our natural desire to be fair. They might give you a little gift like a pen, calendar, something small.
They make us feel obligated.
Exactly. It creates this feeling that you have to give back, reciprocate their generosity with a donation.
Ah, so it's like they set a trap with a little gift. Wow, that's insightful. Okay, so we've talked about how to spot and avoid these things. But what if someone's already fallen victim? What should they do?
Act fast. First, contact your bank or credit card company right away. Report the fraud.
Damage control first. Then what?
Next, file a complaint with the authorities. In the U.S., that's the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC. You can do it online. They'll investigate.
So even if you can't get your money back, reporting it helps prevent others from getting scammed.
Exactly. The more info these agencies have, the better they can track these guys down and warn people.
It's like a collective responsibility thing, right?
Right.
We all play a part in making giving safer.
I agree. Turning a bad experience to something positive, helping others.
Well, I'm feeling a lot more confident after all this. We've gone from feeling vulnerable to having a whole toolbox to protect ourselves. But before we get to the last part, I'm curious, what role does technology play in all this? Is it helping or hurting the fight against charity fraud?
Ooh, that's a great question, and it's tricky. Technology, like a lot of things, can be used for good or bad.
Like we saw with social media, how it can be used to spread these scams.
Exactly. But on the flip side, technology is also being used to fight back. Take artificial intelligence, AI. It's being used to spot suspicious patterns in online fundraising.
So like the same AI that can be used to create fake profiles and stuff can also be used to catch those fakes.
Precisely. It's all about using it for good. These AI programs can analyze mountains of data looking for red flags that we humans might miss.
That's amazing. Like a digital watchdog for charity campaigns. Any other tech advancements giving you hope?
Oh, definitely. Blockchain technology is being explored to make giving platforms more secure and transparent.
I know blockchain from crypto, but how would that work for charity?
Imagine every donation recorded on a public ledger that can't be changed or deleted.
So like an unbreakable trail that exposes any shady stuff.
Exactly. It also lets donors track their contributions, see exactly where their money goes.
That's a game changer. more transparency, more accountability.
It has huge potential. These are still early days, of course, but it's encouraging.
It is. So we're moving towards safer, more transparent giving.
Awesome. Well, let's wrap part 2 here. When we're back for the final part, we'll explore what a more ethical and informed approach to giving could look like and talk about supporting the amazing charities out there doing real good. Stay tuned.
Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into charity fraud. It's been heavy stuff, but I think it's important to end on a more hopeful note, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've got to be aware of the risks, absolutely, take precautions, but we don't want people to be scared off from giving altogether. There are so many amazing organizations doing incredible work out there.
It's like we spent the first two parts, building up our defenses, and now we're ready to actually go on the offensive.
Right, exactly. Not against charities, of course, but against that cynicism these scams can create.
Exactly. We need to be smart, be discerning, but also remain hopeful, generous. Giving can be such a powerful force for good, but it needs to be guided by, both our heart and our head.
Absolutely. It's about finding that balance, compassion, and critical thinking working together.
So how do we actually do that, cultivate that balance? What does an informed, ethical approach to giving really look like in practice?
Well, I think it starts with being intentional. Instead of just reacting impulsively to those emotional appeals, take the time to research causes that genuinely speak to you, your values. Then find organizations that are tackling those issues effectively.
So being proactive, not reactive.
Yeah. You drive your giving decisions. Don't let yourself be pulled in by whatever's loudest or trendiest.
Makes sense. And once we've found those organizations that we connect with, what are we looking for to make sure they're, operating ethically, doing things right?
Transparency is huge. Look for groups that are open about their finances, their programs, the impact they're having. That info should be easy to find on their website, and they should be willing to answer questions if you reach out.
And we've talked about those resources like Charity Navigator, GuideStar.
Yeah.
They give those independent evaluations, right?
Exactly. Those are great for taking a deeper dive, getting a more objective look at how a charity is performing.
It's almost like doing due diligence before making an investment. But in this case, you're investing in social good, which is pretty awesome.
I love that analogy. Yeah, we should approach giving with that same thoughtfulness we use for other big decisions.
That's a really empowering message. We have the power to choose where our money goes to make sure it's making a real difference. But before we wrap up completely, is there one thing you wish more people understood about charitable giving?
That's a good one. I guess I'd say remember that giving isn't just about money. It's about time, skills, passion, all those things. Even if you can't donate a lot financially, there are so many ways to make a difference.
That's so true. We can volunteer, share our expertise, raise awareness for causes we care about. It all adds up.
Absolutely. And I think, that's a beautiful place to end this conversation. When we see all these scams and negativity, it's easy to get discouraged. But if we're informed, intentional, engaged, our giving can make a real impact, contribute to a better world.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thanks so much for being here and sharing your expertise. It's been a great conversation.
My pleasure. And to everyone listening, thanks for tuning in. Hope you found this deep dive helpful and empowering.
Remember, knowledge is power. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay generous. Most importantly, never lose faith in that human kindness, the power it has to change the world.
Until next time, keep diving deep.